Greetings gastronauts, this is KeefCooks, I'm Keef, and today I'm going to show you something a bit traditional from Lincolnshire, hazelet. So I'm doing this for Esther's mum, who lives in Todmorden, not that far from here, and she hasn't requested it or anything, but we met up with Esther, an old friend from Madrid, a few days ago, and she just happened to mention in passing that her mum watches KeefCooks. Well done, Esther's mum. So I thought I'd just embarrass her by dedicating this recipe to her. So the chances are you've never heard of hazelet, and if you have heard of it, you think you pronounce it haslet. Don't let anybody in Lincolnshire hear you call it haslet. It's hazelet, they insist. And basically what it is, oh dear, it's like a meatloaf. I'm not allowed to say that either, because apparently it isn't like a meatloaf, except it is. And ingredient-wise, it's not unlike faggots. It's it's proper pork meat and pig's liver and other things. Hazelet's not something that's really featured much in my life, but I do remember when I first met it was when I had a Saturday job on a deli counter in a supermarket, and this was one of the things we sold. And I thought, that's quite nice, and then completely forgot all about it. Until recently, we've been visiting my dad quite a lot, and he always has a pack of hazelet in the fridge, and so we always eat it when we go there, and it's wonderful. And guess what? If you make it yourself, it's even more wonderful, and it's not at all hard to do. So let's do it. Okay, ingredients for our hazelet. I've got 500 grams of belly pork, 300 grams of pig's liver, 150 grams of stale bread cut into cubes, 4 sage leaves, 3 teaspoons of seasoning mix, an egg, and milk. Now the milk, we just need enough to cover, because we just want to soak that but not have a load of milk left over. The seasoning mix, I'll explain what that is in the notes below and on the recipe on my website. So we want the bread to soak till it's nice and squishy, which will probably take about 15 minutes. Oh my god, I really am losing the plot. An onion, you need a medium onion. So I'm using belly pork because it's got plenty of fat on it. You do need a lot of fat in this. And what it also has is a hard rind, so you need to get rid of that, and the easiest way is like this. Just cut down through the middle of a strip of belly pork, flipping heck, and then cut along just beside the rind. So you might have guessed we're going to mince the liver and the pork together. If you don't have a mincer, you can use pre-minced pork, and you might be able to get your butcher to mince in the liver with it as well. If you have such a thing as a butcher, they seem to be a dying breed in this country now. So I'm just cutting the liver into chunks that will go through the mincer easily. So I've got the coarse plate on the mincer, and I'm just going to whiz the liver through. And that looks utterly disgusting, and I'm sorry. Now we'll put the pork belly through. Now you want to chop your onion very finely. So there's the finely chopped onions. Now we want to chop these sage leaves pretty finely as well. So what I do with these is roll them up a bit like a cigar, and then just chop, chop, chop. So you end up with thin strips of sage, and you can just cut through those, and you finish up with tiny little bits, which is what we want. Okay, everything's prepared, so let's just mix it all together. I've got the meat and the seasoning mix and the onions and the sage. Stir those all together, and then add the bread. So you just want to squeeze as much milk out of it as you can, otherwise we'll end up with a soggy hazelet that will not be sliceable. And finally, the egg. Now this egg is here to bind it. I'm not normally a fan of binding things with egg, but in this case, in the case of hazelet, its prime purpose is to go in a sandwich, so it needs to be sliceable. It needs to be able to hold itself together when you slice it thinly. Okay, now we're ready to cook it. So you want your oven preheated to 180 degrees Celsius if it's a fan oven, or 200 if it isn't. Cook this in a bain-marie in a loaf tin, and purists might tell you that that's the wrong thing to do. It should be not in a tin of any sort, and it should be something like the shape of a rugby ball. Now I'm going to cook it in this roasting dish to cover the top of the loaf tin with foil, and we fill the roasting tin with hot water so that it comes up to about halfway up the level of the loaf tin. I need a bit more water there actually. And that goes in the oven for 1 hour. Okay, after an hour our hazelet should be ready. So you want to get that in the fridge as soon as you can and cool it down completely, and then we'll try and get it out the tin. In fact, I won't do that till tomorrow morning. Okay, it's the next day and here's our hazelet, nicely chilled. So let's see if we can get it out the tin without breaking it. Yay! Ooh, that's a good solid lump of deliciousness. I know it is because I tasted a bit earlier. So let's see how it slices. Pretty good so far. Ooh yeah. So hazelet generally isn't eaten hot. You would have a chunk of it cold with a salad, or a couple of slices in a butty, which is what I'm going to do. Here we go, our little hazelet feast, and I can tell you, because I've already had a sandwich, that it is delicious. It's savoury, meaty, peppery, herby, delightful. Absolutely wonderful stuff and dead easy to make, so no excuses, get it done. And that's that. I hope you enjoyed it. Now you can get the full recipe on my website, KeefCooks.com, and there should be a link kicking around on the screen over there or down there. And if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to my channel. Link. And talk to me. Leave comments, make requests, keep it civil and friendly or I will ban you. And thanks for watching and see you next time.